And good morning from Louisville High School. This is the Spotlight Media Network. I'm Rob Johnson, and we are bringing you a special event this morning, as we are bringing you the Dangers of Opioid Addiction with Karen Morrish. The event will be starting here momentarily as the students are filing in, and should be an excellent event. I hope you'll tune in with us, and we'll be getting started just momentarily, so sit back and enjoy. Should be a great presentation, and something that's important, as it's something that is really taking a rise in this country, and if we can do something here at this level to try and stop it, or obviously prevention is always the best. So again, this is the Spotlight Media Network. I'm Rob Johnson. We'll be back in just a moment with the Dangers of Opioid Addiction.
Are you looking for a quality pre-owned vehicle with a great price? Then check out Ted's Auto Sales. Ted's has a great selection of vehicles and will find you the right one that fits your needs. Ted's was founded on trust, integrity, and respect, and has been serving in the Louisville, Ohio and Nimishillen Township area for over 65 years. So call Ted's today at 330-875-9401. Ted's Auto Sales, Louisville's premium pre-owned dealer.
Hello everyone, I'm Tegan Evans. As many of you know, when the Louisville Herald moved on into retirement, the city of Louisville, Nimishillen Township, and all of its community members were left with a void. The community lost its ability to hear about local events, news, information, sports, and community projects. We lost the ability to come together for Louisville's betterment. Well, we have a solution for you: Spotlight Media Network. Spotlight Media Network is a place anyone can go, whether it be social media, YouTube, or our website, that will display information in different formats to show the best Louisville has to offer. One last thing, if you have something newsworthy or something you would like the community of Louisville to hear about, send us an email at spotlightlouisville1@gmail.com. So if you want to see what is happening in Louisville or the best Louisville has to offer, check out Spotlight Media Network, where we know Louisville is number one.
And we're back here at Louisville as we're waiting the start of the Dangers of Opioid Addiction with Karen Morrish here from Louisville High School. Again, I'm Rob Johnson with the Spotlight Media Network. We'll be getting started here momentarily. Just waiting for the students to finish filing in, and then we'll get you started. So sit back and enjoy.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Hey, I appreciate you guys coming in, getting seated. We have a guest speaker here today. And so from time to time, I try to bring some guest speakers in to speak about topics that are important to you and the school, okay? So I have welcomed Karen Morrish in here today. She's from Jackson, okay, right across the county, and she is going to share her story and explain a little bit about the dangers of opioids. And I'm not going to steal any of her thunder. She's got a presentation she's going to share with you, so listen, give her your undivided attention. And here's Karen.
All right, thank you, Mr. Tosh. Oh, thank you. Well, number one, I want to thank Mr. Testa for being here, Mrs. Aljancic, Mr. and Mrs. Mahalik. It's because of John Aljancic, Sue Testa, Bob's wife, and Mr. Tosh that I'm here today. Sue Testa, before she passed, she heard my presentation at Canton South, and she said, oh my, John, you're in the board at Louisville. You need to get Karen into Louisville. They need to hear this story. So that's why I'm here today. And I'm hoping that you will glean something from it, that you will listen with your whole heart and your whole head to hear my story. All right, so today's topic is opioid addiction. And whenever a speaker speaks, oh my gosh. Check to see if it's on. Okay. I don't see a screen lit up here, Jason. I pressed the power button. Thank you, Jason.
Not a problem.
Oh.
All right, you're all set now.
All right, thank you. Went too far. Thank you, Jason. When a speaker comes to speak, you should always ask, what's their purpose? And my purpose is to tell you that drugs kill, steal, and destroy lives. Say no to drugs now, so later on you will not end up in the streets, in jail, or worse yet, in the ground. In front of you, you will see two pictures. Both pictures have people who are drug users. On the left, you will see a group of people, two people, and then on the right, one. Let's look at the differences. In a small group, I would ask you to raise your hand, but I'll just ask, and you can think of the answer in your head. Let's look at the surroundings. Where are the people in the first picture? Are they inside or outside? Outside, good. Person on the right, where is he? Inside. Person on the left is outside in the sun. Person on the right is inside in the darkness. Good job. Thank you for your responses. That's right. Let's look at the people. How are the people behaving in the left picture? Happy. How do you know they're happy? Smiling. Good. And also they're close to each other, right? They're engaged with one another. They're excited to be around others. What about the person on the right? Is he by himself or with others? By himself. And what kind of features do you see on how is he behaving? How do you think he's feeling? Sad. Why do you say sad? His head is between his hands, right? And whenever our head is downcast and we're covering it, usually we've lacked confidence, right? We're in despair, we're depressed, we're despondent. Which person do you think in the road to addiction is at the end of their ropes? The right. Now, all three are using drugs. The people on the left, are they starting out or are they at the end? Starting out, good. And the person on the right, he's in the midst, right? He's at the end. Now look at the things around them. The people on the left, what are they sharing? Right, like earbuds, right? They're listening to music. Person on the right, what's around him? All right, right, a bottle, a weapon, and pills. right? So you kind of know. So on the left, those two people are probably hiding their drugs, right? Might be in their pockets, might be in their car. Person on the right, he's done hiding. It's already out in the open. Like, he might as well display everything for everybody to see. He's at the end. What's there to hide? Everybody's already seen it, seen his addiction and what it does to him. Signs of addiction, and can you spot one? Here are some of the signs: gray, pale, or washed out skin color, pinpoint or enlarged pupils, depending on the drug they're using, slurred speech, which means slow of speech and drawn out, irrational thoughts, meaning person who asks you a question, the drug addict's response is going to be not related to the question, not well thought out. Difficulty staying awake. Maybe eyes are closing. Maybe they're falling asleep. Maybe they're nodding off. Difficulty walking and not being able to stay in a straight line. I've been up here for 5 minutes. You should be asking me, what point of view are you coming to me from? Here are your choices. Number 1, I'm an active addict. Am I showing those signs? Number 2, I'm an addict in recovery, meaning I'm an addict. I'm not using now, but I did in the past. And remember, an addict is never healed. An addict is always in recovery. Number 3, I'm not an addict. Number 4, I'm undecided. I want you to choose one of those responses. With a raise of hands, how many think I'm an active addict? An addict in recovery. Okay? Not an addict. Okay? Undecided. Okay? Not sure. 5 minutes, not enough time, not a lot of time. But I can say you can encounter an addict and not know it. Sometimes the signs are there, sometimes they aren't. It depends where they are in the cycle of using. If they need something, they're close to their next fix, they're going to be agitated. If they're already and they're, let's see, they've just used, they're going to be not coherent. Okay? So it depends when you encounter them. Who am I, and what point of view am I coming to you from? Am I an addict? No, but my son is. You may encounter and not know it. There are tells or giveaways from an addict. The addict learns early on what the tells are because his friends tell him, and he disguises them well. Why? Why does an addict want to disguise the tells? Does he want to be found out? Is it acceptable in society? No. So everything that is wrong, right? Bad choices or things that do you harm have to be kept in darkness, right? Because that's where you can continue doing it. If it's out in the open, oh my gosh, you have to face it. And oh my gosh, people are going to say no, no, no. And oh my gosh, I might have to make a decision not to. So if you want to continue doing what you're doing, you keep it in the dark. This is the story of my son, John. He was born 30 years ago in 1994. How does he look? Happy, sad? Is he a happy baby? I have to say all babies are happy unless they're in pain. Background: he was born into a 2-parent family, no siblings, but 14 cousins. Good student, mostly A's and B's, few C's, nothing below. And he comes from a stable family, no alcohol, no drugs. When I say no alcohol, I mean no wine, no beer, no liquor. When I say no drugs, I mean no marijuana and nothing harder. He came and comes from a clean and sober house. One misnomer about drug use is drug users beget drug users. I'm here to tell you that's not the case. In some instances. All right, elementary years. different places, at home, in Michigan, where a lot of his family members live, in Florida on vacation. How does he look? How do you know? Smiling, okay. Excited about living life, right? Engaging in the fun things of life. Let's see, moving on. Activities in elementary school. He participated in baseball, soccer, swimming, and Cub Scouts. How does he look? Happy? All right, is there a smile on his face? Excited to be alive? Do more things in life? Okay. All right, and middle school. 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade. How does he look? Happy? Okay. 9th, 10th, 11th. How does he look? Okay. Smiling, happy? Okay. Do you see any problems? No. Okay. High school graduation. How does he look? Happy? Excited? Okay. Do you see any signs of drugs? Any? Okay, no. All right, so the question is, when did it begin? And how did he hide it from us? What did we miss? He looked so happy. So now we got to go backwards in time. First introduction to drugs. At the age of 14, we found John smoking weed. How does he look there? Any signs of addiction? So we told John, hey, drugs are bad. They kill your body, right? And they do bad things to your brain. Don't do them again. I asked John, hey, did anybody come to you, like your school members in middle school or high school, and speak to you about drugs? I said, when I went through school, in middle school, there were 3 20-year-olds who came, and this was in the 70s, and they said, hey, we have friends who use LSD and heroin. Those are the drugs of the 70s. And they said, hey, one of them never was right after using those drugs. She just can't hold a job. She is not the same. She doesn't have any friends. The other friend they knew was in a mental institute after using heroin. And the third friend that they knew ended up in the ground. And they told us, hey, don't use drugs. They kill brain cells. So I thought, oh, light bulb moment, I'm going to share that with John. And he's going to say, oh, yeah, I don't want my brain cells to die either, because I was not at the top of my class. And I knew I needed to keep whatever brain cells I had in my head and not destroy them, not make them worse, not kill them, right? So I thought, okay, that'll speak to John because it spoke to me. And also, you don't want it to harm your body, right? You don't know, one time. That's what they were saying. Some of my friends used one time and they ended up in a mental institute. One time. I thought, wow, okay. Yeah, that puts fear into me. So John quickly agreed and said, okay, I won't do it again. Okay. So Mr. Morrish and I are thinking, okay, he said he's not. We believe him. Does he? Does he keep his word? Let's move on. So we caught him smoking weed. So we researched weed. Marijuana has increased in potency in the last 20 years and is the 3rd most popular recreational drug in America behind alcohol and tobacco. It comes in different forms, and different forms means different potencies. And can I also say, weed is bad. It is bad for your brain. It is bad for your body and your cells. All right? It changes your thought patterns. It changes you. And some people say, oh, I just need to de-stress. I need to just calm it. Oh, and I heard that weed will do that. Well, it may calm you, but there are also other things it does to you. It changes you and also gives you a feeling of lethargy, right? Where you're just chilling and not doing. And it changes your personality, who you are. Where you might have been vibrant, energetic, engaged with others, you're now just sitting and smoking. Does that sound like awesome? Also, marijuana is a gateway to other drugs. So, John went from weed to harder drugs. In high school, John not only smoked weed, he experimented with other drugs. While on the varsity boys swim team at Jackson, he was fast and talented with a hidden secret. You saw his pictures in middle school, right? You saw his pictures in high school. Did he look healthy? Did he look well? Was he hiding it? Like those two, young people in that first picture. John was a 4-year letterman. That's right, all 4 years qualified for a letter. But yet, he was smoking and he was experimenting with harder drugs. Did the team members know? Did his coach know? No, nobody knew. It was hidden. It was a deep, dark secret. Okay. It's not moving forward. Did I lock it by accident, Jason? Do you want to check the remote? I'm pressing forward. There's back. Okay, there it goes. All right, thank you. With drugs and more drugs come consequences. First consequence was his relationship with Molly. Molly was 2 years behind John in school. She was from North Canton, Hoover. She was a diver. John was a swimmer at Jackson. They met and they became girlfriend-boyfriend. They dated for 2 years. And the freshman year of John's school year, she called him up and she said, "Hey, John, I got to break up with you. Like, you're using drugs. I'm not using drugs. You are continuing. I don't want you to continue. I've got to stop this relationship. I cannot be around drugs." John was at a crossroads. Unfortunately, when we're at crossroads, we don't have some big neon sign. We don't have a big billboard that says, "Hey, make the right decision now." His two choices were, number one, I will stop using drugs and go to be with my girlfriend and the person I love. Or I will let her go and I will continue using drugs. Big decision before John. What did he choose? He chose drugs. Why? Drugs over his girlfriend. Drugs have a very big pull on your life. On a cellular level, they demand usage. When something becomes a habit, it is super hard to stop that habit. Does he look happy? Do they look happy together? Do they look like they're in love? No? Okay. All right. I think they were. I was a witness. I was there. So, one consequence was John's girlfriend breaking up with him. When you continue to use drugs, more consequences arise. What happened here? Yep, he totaled his car under the influence. With 2 consequences come 3. He was arrested and put in jail while driving under the influence. Separate incident. Are drugs good? Do drugs bring good thing to your life? No, they do not. Why were so many bad things happening? Why did they continue to happen? Could they be stopped? Could they be stopped? How can they be stopped? By quitting, right? Stopping, okay? Why did he not stop? How many of you have heard of fentanyl? Okay. All right, what do you know about fentanyl? It kills? All right. Is it potent? Is it strong? Is it highly addictive? Yes. It's 100 times more potent than morphine. It is 50 times more potent than heroin. It's distributed through illegal drug markets and often mixed with other drugs. Do you know where fentanyl comes from? Do you know where the plant is grown? Okay, the plant is grown in China. The Chinese export it to Mexico. The Mexican cartel, I'll wait, super duper important. I know it can be hard to hear, but it's important to hear. Why? Because it's out there. It's in your community. It's in your county. It's in your state. It's in your nation. So it is strong. It is powerful. And they bring it over. The Mexican cartel members, they put the powder from the plant into a big vat. They add chemicals to it. They suit up in a hazmat outfit. They get out a big spoon and they start mixing the chemicals with the plant, the powder. They don't use a blender. They don't time it. They just randomly mix it. Is it mixed well? Oh no, there are hot spots in there. Then what do? They package it up into blocks. They wrap it with saran wrap. They wrap and put mustard around it, another layer of saran wrap, barbecue sauce, another layer of saran wrap, chili sauce, another layer. Why? Get past the dogs, get past scents. Any animal that can sense it and be trained to find it cannot because of the other materials around it. There are hot spots, so you never know what you're getting. You think you're getting one thing, you could be getting something far more potent and powerful than you think. Why? They want you hooked. One reason. Another reason why. They want your money. They don't care what the outcome is. They only care about lining their pockets. You as a person is not in their decision making. It's purely about self-preservation for themselves. It comes in different forms. Sublingual patches. Yes, sir. I'll let you know. That's coming up in a slide. He asked how many deaths per year. In the United States, it's 100,000. 100,000 deaths a year. That's why I'm here, because you need to know the dangers of it. It's not something to be taken lightly. You hear one thing on the streets and from your peers. I'm here to tell you the reality of it. It comes sublingual patches. This is what John started with in high school. You put it under your tongue, and it's absorbed into your bloodstream. You can get powder. Pardon? Okay. Pill form, round blue pills. Also comes in rainbow fentanyl, right? It's called rainbow fentanyl. What candy does it look like? Skittles, right? So that's called the Skittle format. Oh my gosh, isn't that enticing? Drug cartels, drug dealers are all about marketing their product. They're going to do They are going to say whatever they can to get you to buy. You have to be smart. You have to be alert. You have to use your critical thinking skills and look past their sales pitches. Here they're using a visual aid, enticing. Oh, if you take this, it'll just be like Skittle taking like a sugar high. Oh no, it's not a sugar high. It's a potent drug high. Do you know that you can be addicted to something in 2 weeks, half a month? There are also transdermal patches that are placed on top of the skin. Fentanyl and the brain. Yes, scientists have looked at the brain, of a person not using and a person using. Do you know what 2 parts of the brain they focus on? The frontal lobe and the midbrain. What's happening in that frontal lobe? A lot of critical thinking, logic, working through problems, reasoning. What's happening in the midbrain? Dopamine release. It's where the dopamine receptors are. So, let's look at the normal brain. What's happening in that frontal lobe? There's a lot of activity, a lot of critical thinking, reasoning, logic taking place. You see a lot of lit up areas in that frontal lobe. In a normal brain, one not using drugs, midbrain, hardly any activity, hardly any interaction going on in those neurons. Let's look at the brain scan of an addict. Frontal lobe, what's happening? Not much. That's why you get the irrational thoughts. That's why you get the answers to questions that are not connected to the questions. That's why you get the slurred speech. They're not using their critical thinking part. They're not reasoning. They're not using logic. What's happening in the midbrain? Oh, a lot of activity, a lot of dopamine released. Do drugs affect the brain? Yes, they do. Scientifically proven. Stats, data. Look at first row, U.S. overdose fatalities. So in 2020, 93,000. 2021, 106. 2022, 110. Is this line graph going up, staying the same, or going down? Going up with U.S. overdoses. Do you know, as far as number one, the nations in the world that are, high achieving, we are the number one in drug overdoses. Now, let's look in column 1, 2020. We have 93,000 overdoses. Of the 93,000, 57,000 are from fentanyl. Is that more than half? Less than half? More than half. Ohio fentanyl. So of the U.S. 57, how many are from Ohio? 4,000. And Stark County, of the 4,000 in Ohio, how many deaths came from Stark County? 100. How many counties are in Ohio? 88. Multiply 88 times 100, what do you get? 8,800, right? So that means we're more than double what most counties in Ohio, are dying from. So, do they target Ohio? Yes. Do you know that Ohio is one of the top states with drug overdoses? And it's the third. Above us, California, second, West Virginia, Ohio, third. So not only is the United States in a crisis of drug overdoses, Ohio is and Stark County is. Are you on high alert? I hope so. Okay, now at the bottom, you will see a line graph of different drugs and the cause of drug overdoses. Top line is going to be your number one, which is fentanyl, right? Look at where fentanyl started. At the beginning of the graph, 2013, 11 years ago, it was at the bottom. Didn't even hear about it. It was along with everything else. Now look in 2022. It's the top drug for drug overdoses. So we went from the bottom to the top. All right, it's potent, it's powerful, and it's only going up. It's not coming down. Drug overdoses. 13 years ago, we only had 2,600 people die in the U.S. Not only, I mean, if you're one of those 2,600 and family members affected, that's not only. But we started out at 2,600. Now look at where we're at, 110,000. Huge increase. In your lifetime, that's a 4,100% drug increase death. You remember those pictures, right? Of John, birth, elementary, middle school, high school, right? He looked happy, 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 happy. How does he look here? Sad. Why? Did he continue to use? Did it continue to affect him? Is he living his best life? Same time period. I want to include, but different angle. The first picture, his eyes were closed. Second picture, his eyes are open. Number one, how does his skin color look? Pale, washed out. Number two, how is his facial expression? Like engaged with life, happy about experiencing his life? The big lie of drug use is recreational drug use is fine and should be accepted by anybody and everybody. Controlling it is easy. I'm smarter than the average drug user. I've done my research. Drugs don't kill. They don't harm. They don't hurt. This might be a hiccup, on my life, but, it's not going to continue. It's going to get better. Okay, let's move on. After one of his overdoses, John wrote this message and wrote this story. He said, I ordered the sample thinking it would be a one-time thing and nothing would come of it, but I was wrong. All it took was a sample to make me overdose. I was at my best friend's apartment when it happened. Chris's brother, and friend Kyle were over at the time. I had the sample in my pocket and decided to go to the bathroom sneakily to try out the sample and get high off it. When I returned from the bathroom, I thought everything was cool, but it didn't take long for me to pass out on Chris's couch and for my face to start turning a different color. Luckily, Chris's brother, Anthony, was quick thinking and had a plan to put me in the back seat of his car to take me to the hospital. Anthony and Kyle tried to carry me out, but the position they had me in wasn't working. So Chris put me on his shoulder and took me to the car. They quickly drove me to the hospital where they put me on a stretcher and gave me Narcan. Apparently, I still had 92% oxygen, so no long-term damage occurred. When I woke up, I was very confused, like my last overdose, but I figured out what happened. I felt extremely embarrassed and stupid by my actions and still do. How does John feel about drugs and the overdoses? He tells us in his own words, embarrassed and stupid. Not only that, but extremely embarrassed and stupid. You know how I was talking about the breakup with Molly and there being a big neon sign? No neon sign. So on a person's journey into addiction, there is no neon sign or a tap on the shoulder or someone saying, hey, you've crossed over from you controlling the drug to the drug controlling you. It gradually happens. And it can happen as quickly as in 2 weeks. So when in addiction, you do what you need to do to get out of it, right? He felt extremely embarrassed and stupid. So he is ready for treatment. So he sees a therapist once a week who specializes in drug dependency. He goes to Glen Bay Rehab Center in Rock Creek, Ohio, which is an hour and 45 minutes northeast of here. And he goes to NA, Narcotics Anonymous, AA, which uses the 12-step program too, and IOT, Intensive Outpatient Therapy Meetings. Okay. How effective are they? They're as effective as you let them be. They're effective until they're not. If you choose to get back on that wagon, you are choosing to give into the uncontrollable cravings and to get back on that merry-go-round that is very hard to get off. Have you ever been on a merry-go-round and you go faster and faster and faster? And if you get off, oh my gosh, it's going to hurt. Down the rabbit hole. So because John got back onto drugs, more things and more consequences occurred. He had a falling out with his cousin, fell out with his best friend, Chris, the one you heard about in that story, falling out with other friends, losing college roommates, or one of them, dropping out of college his senior year, loss of driving privilege, is beaten up while buying drugs. He was, taken to a drug dealer, and he said, I want fentanyl. The drug dealer did not have fentanyl. He had methamphetamine. John said, I don't want that. Well, they beat him up, and they took his money. He was passed out at work and taken to the hospital. So, yes, sir, you can ask a question now. How do you what? How do you stop? How do you stop taking fentanyl? Like stop using? Stopping and making the fentanyl. Oh, good question. Can we stop it? How about we stop it by not buying it? Do we take their market away from them? Their clientele, right? Don't businesses go under because of lack of sales? All right, how about that? It can start with me, okay? So when you're full on in addiction, you are no longer keeping track of your doses. You're no longer keeping track of the amount of doses. You're just taking whenever you crave and want. So here, he had a seizure. John does not have a predisposition to seizures. So you can get seizures while on drugs by using too much or weaning off of them. Either way, he had a seizure. He passed out, fell, hit his head on a desk, got a gash, had to have stitches. How does John look? How is his facial color? How's his demeanor? Okay. Is he living his best life? Well, John realized that drugs have taken over, and they ravaged his body. I'm going to go on. Oh, pause. Back there. So John said, I want to go back to rehab. And he said, I'm ready to get clean and sober. So he goes back to Glen Bay, and he gets clean. How does he look? Healthy and well. So after rehab, he decided to go into sober living housing. That's where you have a leader in a house who is clean and sober and overlooking the people in there who are coming out of rehab to try to get clean and sober, and help them, encourage them, be a mentor for them in sober living. So, oops, too far. I want to go back. I switched those slides around. There we are. So here, Tom and I are visiting John in his sober living house and environment. How does he look? Does he look healthy? Skin color, does it look good? Are his eyes open? Okay. Is he smiling? Does he look well? Okay. All right. Does he look clean? Okay. Yep. All right. So we took John to Michigan, and I want to pause right here. You know how I had you guess before, like what perspective I was coming from? Now I'm going to have you guess again. It's like stopping a story midway and shutting that book, like putting stop or pause on that movie, and guessing what comes next. Where is John now? Here are your choices. Number 1, he's in full-on addiction. Number 2, he's an addict in recovery. Number 3, he's gone. How many of you think he's full-on in addiction? Okay. How many of you think that he's in recovery? Okay. Okay. All right. And how many of you think he's gone? Okay. All right. Most of you believe he's in recovery. And the next slide will show you. Okay. John did not make it. That's why I'm here with you today. I wish, instead of talking to you from a parent point of view, John was here speaking to you from a first-person point of view. Where he could tell you what it was like to be ravaged by drugs. You will see in that left image where John had painted a self-portrait 1 month before his passing. And while he was at this birthday painting party, they asked people to paint a self-portrait and to write a self-mantra by their face. And John decided to paint "Stay Strong." And for a month, he was strong. Even prior to then, he tried to be strong. But can I say the pull of drugs is bigger than our self-will. We can will it, we can will it, we can will it. But has to be something greater than ourselves, something bigger than us that can help us get out of this. So, why am I here with you today? I am here to pass John's message of staying strong, which was meant for him, but I'm making it now for you. Since he's no longer here, I want you to carry on his message to himself, to stay strong. Stay strong how? If he could go back in time to middle school where it began, he would tell himself, stop. If he could go back to high school, he would say, stop the weed, don't experiment with other drugs. That's how I got here. So instead of seeing John face to face, we have to go to his gravesite and talk to him there. Do we get to hear any responses back? Do we get to touch him? Do we get to kiss him? No. John, as you know, graduated from Jackson. He graduated in 2013. And in the front of the yearbook, the message to The whole class, we left our mark. Did John leave his mark? Yes and no. Yes, he did for 25 years. Could he have left a bigger mark on this world? He was gone, like far before he should have been gone. He lived 1/3 of his life. He had 2/3 left to live. He will never marry. He will never have a house. He will never have kids. He will never have a job that he really, really likes. He missed out on so much. Why? Drugs. Do you remember how second screen I said, I am here to tell you that drugs kill, steal, and destroy lives. Drugs killed my son. He was part of the 93,000 nationwide that died that year. He was part of the 57,000, part of 4,000. He was part of the 100. Those were just not data points for me. They were personal. Like, this is personal. But I know that John doesn't want me sitting at home, wallowing in pain, pity, isolation. He wants me to get his message out. He did not die in vain. His life, even his death, has to mean something. And I want it to mean something to you. I want you to take to heart today this message of John's life. Happy, happy, happy. And then all of a sudden, sad, depressed, in despair, and not living my best life. Don't let drugs be a gateway to your non-self, the self that you were not created to be. Time, Mr. Tosh, 9:54. Okay, I will give it over to you, Mr. Tosh. Thank you for being an attentive audience. I want you to know that I pray for you, and I want you to hold strong in the path of sobriety and of cleanness. We can learn from other people's mistakes. Please learn from John's. He wants his life to matter, and let it matter through you.
Hey guys, can we give Mrs. Morrish one more round of applause? You know, I can't, I won't even stand up here and act like I can even pretend to know what that feels like. Having kids of my own, I can only, and now I'm looking at, 1,000 kids, and I'm begging you, this fentanyl stuff is real. We have issues at this school right now, today, with kids, using dab pens and so on, and you don't know what's in them. I plead with you, take Mrs. Morrish's message and take it to heart. If John could go back, he would go back, okay? So with that said, we are now, I'm gonna excuse you guys. All of, your cell phones and book bags are in Mod 2. I'm gonna have you go back to Mod 2 and then immediately report to Mod 3, okay? Thank you.
So that's the end of our event. We really want to thank everybody for joining us today. Great message from Karen Morrish and Principal Tosh. If you're out there and you need help, please let a teacher know, let a coach know, let an administrator know. They'll try to do everything they can to get you help, the counselors. There's so many resources throughout the school system and so forth. So again, I want to thank everybody for coming on. It was a great event, and if you have a friend, a family member that needs help, please, try to get them the help. So again, this is Rob Johnson with Spotlight Media Network from Louisville High School. Have a great afternoon, everybody. We'll see you in a gymnasium or stadium near you. Till next time.